Welcome to Fat Cat production of News with a View. This is episode 14 as we continue on President Trump's second day. It is Wednesday. So, a lot in the news. Of course, it's going to be 90% Trump. And President Trump continues with his promise of cleaning house, taking aim at Homeland Security, TSA, the Coast Guard, and removing all members of key aviation security groups. So um, that's an interesting development. Department of Homeland Security has the most changes amid immigration and more changes to come. Aviation Security Advisor Committee members received a memo Tuesday that effectively ended their membership of all advisory committees and ensuring that Homeland Security activities prioritize our national security. So somehow this is being shifted over to uh, Homeland Security instead of a separate agency. This could be part of President Trump's uh, idea of taking uh, agencies doing the same functions and just uh, getting the redundancy out of government. The Aviation Security Committee, which was mandated by Congress after the 1988 Pan Am 103 incident over Lockerbie, which wasn't an incident, blew an airplane up, will technically continue to exist, but won't have the members to carry out the work of examining issues at airlines and airports. So, um, this is now going to make a much broader reach for Department of Homeland Security. Uh, Now, the group included representatives of all key groups in the industry, including airlines and major unions, as well as members of groups associated with the victims of Pan Am 103 bombing. So, the vast majority of the group's recommendations were adopted over the years. TSA Administrator David Pekoski was terminated. And now it was interesting because he was a prior pick by Trump back in the day. No mention yet if other advisory committees will be affected, like that of the Railroad Administration's Department of Safety. Coast Guard Commandant Admiral Linda Fagan was fired. Fagan was working on rebuilding the trust of the Coast Guard after reported years of sexual harassment and misconduct in their ranks. Um, Remember, the Coast Guard is also interdiction of drug smugglers and uh, you know people coming in via our coastlines and seas illegally. So they were there to assist in stopping that. Of course, uh, drug interdiction was a huge part of the Coast Guard. So she's gone. And in addition to those firings, Trump will also appoint a new administrator for the Federal Emergency Management Agency, who he has criticized harshly uh, in FEMA's um, response to disasters like Hurricane Helene last fall and the California wildfires. Now, it's customary for an incoming president to kind of clean house and put their people in. And so this isn't really that unusual. The Coast Guard one was a bit, uh, and she actually did a very good job. So thank you, Admiral, for your services. And it will be um, interesting to see what the next step is with the Coast Guard. All right. The Trump administration has required federal health agencies, CDC, FDA, and NIH, National Institute of Health, to pause external communications um, until further notice. So what the directive is that they are to cease going out and making daily reports to the press and updating their website and health advisories. We don't know what the time limit's going to be on that. Uh, and this is not, again, unheard of with a new administration coming in. Uh, what they're doing is pumping the brakes. They want to see what's on their list that's going to be, coming out, and they always know weeks, in advance. Except, of course, with food safety, if there's something that needs to be recalled immediately, or the public made aware immediately, I'm sure there's a mechanism in here. But of course, the press will never put it in there that they could go out and say, hey, don't eat ham made here, don't eat bologna made here, don't eat pepperoni that was made here. I think those type of emergency directives that have to go out to the public are still going to be there. So it's not that unusual, but you're going to have, both sides of the media, one taking, this president, going in there and making sure that the information is correct. And remember, this is going to be a big part of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., which I am almost certain he'll be having a major role in this. So, little strange that they would stop all communications, but that's what happens during a new administration. And just to break it up a little bit, crazy news out of Colorado. Isn't that amazing? Colorado giving us some crazy court decisions and things that they're hearing. Pretty wacky stuff, but it's Colorado. Seems 5 elephants at the Colorado Zoo do not have the legal right to pursue their release because they are not human. Now, I don't know how long it took the courts to figure this out or come to this conclusion that an elephant is not human. And as such, they don't have the right to say where they're going to go.
Oh my God!
Seems logical so far. I just don't know why it got up to into the courts. Someone could have, as a friend to the animal or pachyderm or whatever you want, the elephant, was going in on their behalf. And this was about the elephants being brought to an elephant sanctuary. And the court, how do you know the elephants want to go to a sanctuary? And you're speaking on behalf of the elephants. Unless you're Dr. Doolittle, I don't see how you could do that. And this is the craziness. This took up our court time. I'm sure there were other cases that needed to be heard, but all this had to go through all the proper channels to get up to a decision where the courts finally said this boils down to whether or not the elephants legal questions whether an elephant is a person. And because an elephant is not a person, the elephants here do not have standing to bring habeas corpus claims. Now, I that should have been thrown out. It should never even gotten there. It's like we don't hear cases, where elephants v. the United States or elephants v. Colorado. This is just a wackiness that's going on. And I mean, it's always been there. This is not, I'm sure this is not the first case. But it just goes to show what the courts will even entertain. I don't get it. So the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo in Colorado Springs, they're going to still retain Missy, Kimba, Lucky, Lulu, and Jambo. They're not going anywhere. They're staying where they are. And what the court said was, would we have entertained this? What would stop a person, a prisoner, who is jailed from requesting to go to a sanctuary, whatever? And that's how dangerous these court hearings are. That you could have had some, I love elephants. Yes, they should go. You know, and then all of a sudden, it impacts other cases inside the legal system, other entities, and a judge good ruling, but it should never have even gone to a judge. What a waste of time. I mean, can you imagine, bringing in the elephants as, the victims in this case, Missy, Kimbo, Lucky, Lulu, and Jumbo. Look at them. Look at them. Look at those sad faces. That just gets to the point of craziness. And you're hearing my phone in the background because I did not turn it off. I'm sure that's someone advising me of my Medicare standing. Another, and this came from Fox News, only carrying the best, fellows. The anti-woke beer company, Ultra Right. I've never even heard of that. I mean, I read a lot of the news from Fox all the way down the line to Yahoo News, and I skim over. I grab things that look interesting, and this wouldn't have been one of them. This is, in essence, this being reported as news is a free advertisement, and that's what happens a lot. When you see something, Disney, boom, boom, and then you start reading down through it, and it's, talking about their, magic passes and things like that. And it's a commercial. Well, it seems that the officials at Ultra Right released their annual swimsuit calendar highlighting MAGA babes. Okay, I don't know why that's, news. It's interesting. It's not news. After the calendars went viral on social media last year, they decided to go and do it again. The calendar named Conservative Dads, MAGA Babes. Now, that's just, uncomfortable. So, make America hot and healthy again. Yeah, okay. Conservative dads. No liberal dad will look at that. or I'm surprised they're just skewing to one market, but whatever. A bold and unapologetic celebration of health, beauty, and American values. All right, calendar girls are American values now. All right, I mean, they were always nice to look at, and you joke about it and stuff, and there'd always be a funny little caption, you know, Playboy, and you know, some of these other magazines would always have a funny little punchline, and it was cute and witty. But this just seems a little creepy to me. America is entering a new golden age in 2025, leaving the work culture in the dust. Companies like Sports Illustrated clearly missed the memo. Ultralight said in a press release, their, meaning Sports Illustrated, bikini calendar features a morbidly obese woman promoting poor health as something to celebrate. Yeah, I agree. Sports Illustrated, be like me in a ski thing going, look at me. I'm fat and I can ski. All right. I don't know if that merits a spot on any type of cover, other than, Obesity Weekly or something, if there isn't one. And if there is one, I apologize, and it's not a copyright infringement. So it's just interesting that how many people are jumping on the MAGA bandwagon. The MAGA Babes calendars here to set the record straight. It's time to take health and fitness seriously and look hot doing it. Well, I'm going to say that probably most of these women on here, are in the barely legal category, and conservative dads. I don't know if that's a great title for it. Little scary, little creepy, but well, not a little creepy, a lot creepy. But hey, if President Trump can try to get 50% of TikTok, why not? Why not have this? Well, to get seriously again, President Trump went to church. He seemed he got schooled. I can't even say. The bishop who delivered the Tuesday sermon, Reverend Marianne Budd, speaking at the Washington National Cathedral Tuesday morning, told the president, "In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon people in our country who are scared now. They are gay, lesbian, transgender children in Democratic and Republican and independent families, some who fear for their lives." All right. What honestly does that have to do with President Trump? He hasn't threatened anyone. He hasn't said, hurt these people, or, nothing. This was her shaking her finger at the president on something that he has already said, that these people are covered under our Constitution. No one needs to worry. They're protected under the Constitution. So Trump's response was, of course, the so-called bishop who spoke at the National Prayer Service on Tuesday morning was a radical left hardline Trump hater. This is Trump saying this. And Trump wrote this on his social media. She brought her church into the world of politics in a very ungracious way. She was nasty in tone and not compelling or smart.
You're out of here,
Now,
lady.
that's fine, because all we hear from the left is how stupid we are. He went on about, and this news article said he went on a tirade about the giant crime wave of illegal immigrants before adding that, apart from her inappropriate statements, the service was very boring and uninspiring to me. It's hysterical. But I will say, unless you regularly attend church services, anyone coming in there once or twice a year, I will find won't be able to grab hold of the concept of the sermon. But the bishop here, the Episcopal bishop, it took me a while to get. Yeah, she went out of bounds. This was not about inclusion or acceptance. This was her pointing her finger at Trump as if Trump did something. So it was an inappropriate sermon to give. But it's a church, and she can give a sermon. I'm glad Trump had the courtesy and not to get up and walk out. I might have walked out and said, I'm done here. But he didn't. He sat there and, like a gentleman, heard it, took it in, and disagreed with it. He also said that she's not very good at her job. Now, again, I don't know if I call being a religious head a job. I might call it a calling. And he said she and her church owe the public an apology. Well, I don't know. You got a right to say it. Yeah. Trump has said some pretty radical stuff. And, said he's unapologetic. So, you swing the sword. Just remember, go both ways. So I just found that very interesting and kind of a little humorous. And that's how the left is going to be treating everything that Trump does or wants to do or tries to do. He's going to be fought every step of the way. Now, to get back to some of the policies, abrupt end to the border app that brought nearly 1 million people to the USA strands many in Mexico. The app, CBP 1, is effectively a lottery system that gives applicants for entry into the United, not citizenship. This is entry into the United States, so you're documented and you come on through. Remember what I said yesterday? Documented gives jurisdiction and sovereignty. That's why there is no birthright by illegals. Sorry, you don't get it. So that's opened up to 1,450 people per day, and that's at all their, you put in what border crossing you're going through, and, you could have an appointment pre-scheduled, and you show up there, and they interview you, and you go from there. So this at 8 border crossings. I'm sorry, not any border, but it's 8 selected border crossings. And this was, of course, authorized and presidential authority that former President Joe Biden used more than any other president since introduced in 1952. Meaning that at one time they didn't have to do this daily. They could just throw it out there and say, "Hey, tomorrow is the day," boom, boom, and then not have it again for 3 weeks. But under Joe Biden, he said, we're going to do this daily. And the app got about 280,000 hits per day of people that try for that one of those 1,450 slots per day. Now, take that and times that by 365 days. If you're using a year calendar, I don't know. Maybe they don't do it on Saturdays, Sundays, but that's 529,250 people per year who may make an appointment. Now remember, that's the head of a household that's making that appointment. And that head of household might have 2 people in it, might be just them, might be a family of 6. So you take that number and start adding these other numbers into it, and you could see how many people were coming across our borders. Now, again, those people that did the 1,450, they were doing it the right way. And as long as you met the statutory requirements and, you checked all the boxes and you became documented and you came across, fantastic. That's the way the system should work. And not doing it that way, where you're documented. I mean, who are these people? Why do you have rights? How did you get these rights? So this is not even citizenship, of just anything that a normal citizen would get, and that takes away our rights. I mean, what do our rights mean when it's just given to anyone? So there's a problem with the system. Not always has been, because at one time the system was enforced. The policies was enforced. And then it just slowly started to fade away. And then you had the people, well, why do we even need borders? Well, because that defines a country. Any other thing, it would be anarchy. And look at what we got. And I don't blame just Joe Biden. I don't blame, Donald Trump. He was president before. I don't blame, well, Barack Obama I blame a lot. But you go all the way back. This problem has been going on, and why do you think they made that application process? And of course, back then it wasn't an app. You just came in, and if you were one of the, 1,450 people on whatever lottery thing they picked out, well, then that's the way it worked. This is an app, so bang, bang, bang. Within 2 minutes, everything's gone, and better luck next time. Go on now. President Donald Trump's 2 co-defendants in the classified document case, and these are 2 of his employees, Walt Neutra and didn't put the other persons down there. Carlos de Oliveira or something, but the White House said that they're not expected to receive a pardon from Trump. And this is due to the fact that the wording are not expected. So that's not an outright, they're not getting it. That's just, it's not expected. And then all of a sudden, well, look what happened. They got it. I wasn't expecting that. So I think what they're trying to do is see what the Department of Justice, since the case has been dismissed and dropped, these other two are still out there. Now, that's an important fact, is that this is exactly what I was talking about yesterday, saying that a pardon does not necessarily end the shenanigans that was going on, that Biden, gave to his family and to Fauci and to a lot of these people. If the people on the ancillary can be charged, then the witnesses, and they'll be witnesses for the government, the pardoned people will be witnesses, and they might be unwilling witnesses. They'll be subpoenaed, and they have to appear. And they have to testify truthfully of what they know of the charges and evidence being placed against these other people. Can they corroborate it? And if those people lie during the court, they could be charged. That pardon will not protect them from that. So the government's going to have a couple of bites of the apple with these people. They're not out of the woods yet. Someone like Fauci will probably be dead before it ever gets up to a case, or he'll be, unavailable, he'll be ill, whatever. But other people around these other people, they're fair targets, as were these two people with Trump. But Trump is going to go to the DOJ and go, listen, Attorney General Bondi, the case was dropped against me because Jack Smith should never have even been doing this. Shouldn't it make sense that if it's dropped against me, who was accused, the people that were accused of helping me, or in my employment, or who said, no, he didn't have these things there, and they go, oh, those things, that should be dropped too. Now, by the Department of Justice dropping the case, there's no pardon. If Trump were to give these people a pardon, it's the same thing that Trump said of Biden. They might not be guilty of anything, but it sure looks squirrely to me. So that is what is out there that I saw pressing in the news. There's a lot of things swirling around out there. There's just so much, because he's put so much out on the table, and which is a smart thing to do if you're going to do that. Put so much out there that you can't possibly, see everything. It's sleight of hand, and they'll get to it, but by that, you're so desensitized by it that you just go, enough. Yes, he's doing this. We know he's doing it, and it doesn't affect me. I go to work, I get my paycheck, I come home, help the wife with the kids or whatever, and do it all over again the next day. So a lot of these people will not be affected by some of these actions that the Trump administration is putting forth. This is big with immigration. But there really is, because if you are a frequent flyer, and these safety mechanisms that are in place are going to a different department or being retooled, what's happening, excuse me, in the background, that has been going on, and they go, hey, I was like 2 weeks away from making this recommendation, and now I can't make this recommendation because I'm not allowed to speak to Party X over there, and Party X can't tell me, hey, this is what we found in your inquiry to us, you know, and you might need to know this to pass it on to Party Y. But this does happen in any new administration, and eh, let's see what happens. But if there is an accident, if something happens, this is all going to be called into question. And is it fair? No. But is it something that can be questioned? You bet it can. You bet it can. So let's see what happens. Let's hope for the best. And, you know, that's what I always say. You hope for the best and plan for the worst. But what can you do? We're in it. I think a lot of the shenanigans that went on inside the Biden administration, that's not going to go away. President Trump is not going to back down on any of that stuff. He wants, if he can't find people or charge people, he wants to be exonerated and shown that he wasn't lying. This is what indeed happened, and this is what indeed they were doing. And you believed me, and we put a stop to it. And again, day two, really, what can he do? So, like I said before too, I don't think he's going to have a honeymoon. There's no honeymoon with anyone with Trump. So, I think a lot of these people are going to be covering themselves. Biden seemed to have protected a lot of people, but not everyone. Not everyone. And those people, when they feel they're getting thrown under the bus, they're going to say something. And they're going to remember stuff. And, it will be interesting. Will be interesting times. The pardon for the January 6th people, where he at first said, I'm going to give it to, and then I'm going to look at some of these cases, and then he says, screw it. You know what? You're all complaining about it. You're fighting with me about it. Got them all loose. And that's basically what he did. Got them all loose. Some of these people were ridiculously charged, stealing a desk from the office. They never stole. How are you going to get a desk out the door? One person, one woman. Yeah, she carried one of those desks on her back. I mean, it was just ridiculous, and they wanted 20 years, 10 years, 5 years. And we were going to make an example of these people. Well, that's not what the court is really there to do. They make examples of people and use the courts and the tools there arbitrarily. You could have been a person charged with a crime on a Capitol building of breaking and entering a post office. And, you had 6 months. you got a crime of trespassing in in the capital, and you get 6 years. So, yeah, could they? Sure, the judge, they can do it. You have recommended sentencing guidelines, but that's a recommendation. Some say, not more than one, not less than one, not more than six. And you can take it all the way to six, and then you could add another charge to that, and then another charge, and now you're up to 18 years. So that's what they were doing. Where in most cases, you know, all the other ones fall off, and the most serious one stays there. And then you get to plea that. And it just shows how the system was weaponized. And it is weaponized. And in essence, it protects the government. It doesn't protect us. We have to fight for every one of our rights. Yeah, you have it, but you got to apply it. And if you don't apply it, oh, that's not our fault. So, watch out for the government. They're a self-feeding machine. And they always need food. And they always need money. And if they can't get the money, they'll get you. All right. I'm cutting this one short today. I wasn't going to do one today. Here in South Carolina, where I am, in Murrells Inlet, we got like 5 inches of snow last night. And it's like a winter wonderland outside. And the drivers here are bad on a good day. So I don't think we're going to be going many places today, but if we do have to run, I'm originally from New York, so I know how to drive in the snow. But some guy that is not, and this is the third time in his life he saw snow, and he's wondering why his wheels are spinning, and so his idea is to press down harder. So, always interesting. And I got that light coming right in, and look how it shades me and then comes back. All right, well, I'm going to call it a day. Again, as always, pray for those victims of hurricanes and fires. Don't forget them. Keep them in your prayers. If you can, keep them in your pocketbook, too. Make any donation that you can do without hurting yourself or your family. Just make sure it goes to a registered charity. Very important. I keep saying that. Don't be a victim. Helping a victim. And as I impart my brain cells to you via digital communication, absorb it. And Bob, that goes double for you. All right, then. I'm going to call it a day. I'm going to say adios. I'll have this probably up by 6 p.m. tonight. It's like 2 p.m. now. By the time I fancy it up, put my bumpers into it and some little comments and audio files. It'll take me about 2 hours and then 2 hours to render. All right. You have a good one. Be safe. And as always, I say, I'll see you tomorrow as I fade to black.